laying 5 in Foxborough.
It's a big number. This is an odd game to me, and it's always hard, I think, when you're trying to handicap these games. You're picking against Bill Belichick, Pete, in Foxborough. But the Bills, just something hasn't looked quite right with Josh Allen of late. And they played a tighter game that I think you would have wanted to see on Thanksgiving versus Detroit. Granted, got the win, have additional rest for this one. But I'm on the other side. I'm going to take the 5 points. I think the Bills win this one, but I think it's a close divisional matchup between these two teams. I kind of need to see more than just Josh Allen playing hero ball the entire time. I don't feel like they have much balance. I think Belichick's going to try to take away Stephon Diggs and make life hard for Josh Allen.
Yeah, see, I'm on the other side of this. This used to be the bully in the neighborhood would beat the daylights out of the kid. And the kid lifted weights a lot and got strong.
His growth spurt?
Got a baseball bat. No, he got a baseball bat and he took care of the bully. And so the bully is now the bully, okay? The kid is now the bully. And that's what the Bills have become to the Patriots. I think they're the much better team. I think when you look at it from a talent standpoint, even without Von Miller in there, they're still a much better team. They're getting healthier in the secondary. Davis White's back. Look, I think they're going to put up a number here. I'm going to take the Bills.
I think it comes down to whether or not the Bills can stop the Patriots running the football. If they make this game a game between Josh Allen and Mac Jones, you're right. Game, set, match, Bills, they win handily on the road here. I do think the Patriots are going to be able to run the football a bit. I think that's kind of been a weak spot for the Bills' defense is stopping the run.
But I get your point, though. Belichick at home against anybody.
It just doesn't – it's still hard for me to get used to them not dominating this Division I, which they don't anymore compared to the Bills. And then also just Bill Belichick at home.
That defense was so bad last week against the Vikings, so that's a concern for me.
These teams haven't played this season. The last time they played was in the playoffs, Super Wildcard round last year, and the Bills did take a baseball bat to Bill Belichick.
Yeah, right?
They won by 30 points.
Oh, they had already done that.
In that one. Here's your early slate on CBS this Sunday. Browns, Texans. That's the Deshaun Watson return game. Ooh, Jets, Vikings. 7-4 against 9-2. Broncos, Ravens, a couple of teams with struggling offenses. Steelers coming off the Monday night win. The Falcons still just a half game out of first place at 5-7. Brady, Quinn, and Pete Prisco are going to pick them. Let's start with the Deshaun Watson-led Browns, who are laying a touchdown and an extra point at Houston.
It's a big number, but Houston's just not a very good football team right now. Bottom line, made the change that Kyle Allen still didn't matter for this offense. They have a hard time putting up points, and their defense has a hard time stopping folks. So this game's going to largely be about Deshaun Watson returning back to the team that drafted him and everything else that went on off the field. But I'm more curious to see the rust factor and if Deshaun Watson's going to be able to just seamlessly transition in. He's been practicing with the team, or if he's going to struggle a little bit. But if there was any team, based on how they're playing right now, to go back into play, this would be the team against the Houston Texans. So I'm laying the points here with Cleveland. I don't even think it'll be close. Houston will have a hard time stopping Nick Chubb running the football. And even if Watson doesn't have a stellar game, I still think he'll be just fine.
I'm with you. I just can't take the Texans. After watching them last week, if Miami hadn't pulled back a little bit, that thing would have been 45-0. I mean, it was so bad. They couldn't do anything. It looked like Miami had 13 guys on the field the entire game. That's how bad they looked on offense. Cleveland's defense isn't very good, but I still think that they're going to get a little bump, a little juice from having Watson back. Hey, Brissett played well. I mean, he's a good quality backup quarterback in the NFL. Some people could think he can be a starter. I don't. But I think he's a good quality backup quarterback. Deshaun Watson, let's see what you have. I mean, they've waited 2 years. It's been 2 years. Let's see what you have. And this whole idea that the former team would want to beat him, those players don't care about him playing football. Most of them weren't even around when he was there.
Browns still with a chance, too, to make the playoffs.
Oh, stop.
I'm just saying.
Stop it.
Just saying.
Stop it.
3 games back.
If things bounce their way, and I think it's good luck, too, when you have a skunk in your stadium, a live skunk like the Browns had last week.
A rally skunk?
I mean, maybe it's a rally skunk. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just saying, when there's a live skunk, Pete, in your stadium, I think it's a sign.
I know you have a strong allegiance to this team.
That's right.
But please stop.
Have you buried the Browns yet, Pete?
Not yet.
Officially?
They probably
so they are still alive.
Lose. No,
they're mathematically still alive.
Yeah.
Pete has buried teams that are mathematically still alive.
By the way, the reason why I bring that up is because of Jacoby Brissett. He did nothing but help put this team still in a position where they have a shot with Deshaun Watson. And even the games they lost, it was their defense. I think you put that more on the defense shoulders. Yeah. The Jets game in particular. There's a few others that stand out. The Falcons game they should have won probably, could have used a defensive stop there. But he did play well enough to put them in the spot. He deserves a lot of credit for the way he
I agree.
3 games behind the Jets are the Browns for one of those last wild card spots. The Jets at 7-4 in playoff position right now, going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Early game, but it's a pretty big game, Pete, for Kirk Cousins.
Hey, Kirk Cousins played well last week. He played really
Lights
good
out,
football. Yes, he did. He played well. I got to give him his props. He played outstanding football. This is a good Jets defense, and I can't wait to watch this offense against that defense.
Justin Jefferson against Sauce Gardner.
Well, not just that, the whole front, and you know, the front can get after it. That Jets front is really good. The front seven is faster, athletic, they're big, they're strong, and they have a lot of bodies. It's going to be a problem for Kirk Cousins. But I think this is a spot for the Vikings at home. I'll take the Vikings minus the points. I think they're going to get enough on offense. And I think the Jets are so, I don't care what Mike White did last week. They're so limited on offense. You are what you are. At some point, he's going to turn into Mike White. He's going to turn into Mike White.
You keep saying that. The reality is he made that offense for the Jets look like they're a playoff caliber team. Right now, if the playoffs were today, they would be in the playoffs.
Who are they playing?
They would be the 7th seed.
They'd be the Chicago Bears.
What?
Last week.
I'm just saying, the reality is he still came in, diced him up.
So you
did exactly what he should do.
You believe in Mike White. You're a believer.
I'm not saying I believe in Mike White. What I'm saying is that's how that offense is supposed to look.
I get it.
And I think that's really what Robert Saleh and this team needs moving forward. And taking on a Vikings defense that's given up a ton of pass yards. And they've played a lot of that soft shell coverage.
I agree.
And they've really struggled. So he should be able to pick his poison, whether it's Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, whoever he wants in the passing game, the way the Vikings have played as far as pass defense. But I'll lay the 3 points. I think the under is the better play in this one. I think it's a shorter game. Both teams will be able to run the football. I do think it's going to be a tight game. And so I'll lay the 3. I don't feel great about it. I think the under is the best play.
You know, my adage, you are what you are. Eventually it shows up. It'll show up.
Well, okay, then you're making a conversation for why is Mike White in there in the first place? Because they need to figure out what they have in Zach Wilson by the end of this year. And this obviously stands
they're playoff
right
alive. They think that they can maybe have a better chance to get to the postseason with him, but he's eventually going to become who he is. You are who you are in this league, Brady.
That's fine if you feel that way.
How do you feel about him?
What I'm asking you is, what would you prioritize? Them trying to go on a playoff run with Mike White, or figuring out what they have in their number 2 overall pick?
I think you're in danger of losing the locker room if you don't play Mike White. That's why they're playing.
So then does that already make your decision on Zach Wilson?
For the rest of the year? Or for the career?
Both.
No. Grow up. I mean, he needs to grow up and start handling his business like an NFL quarterback.
And that's fine, but you think he's going to all of a sudden come around in year 3?
I'm not saying Zach Wilson's the answer either. Okay. I'm just saying I know Mike White isn't the answer for the long term.
I'm rooting for Mike White.
He was the answer last week.
By the way, he was on my better than team way back in the day when he
Mike White?
Yes, he was.
And you're off the boat?
Because
you're off the bandwagon?
He remembers where he played college ball.
I thought he was a backup quarterback.
Western
Kentucky.
Yeah. Now, know where he's from? South Florida.
That's right. He is from South. He went to Danny School, didn't he? I think he did.
Danny Cannell School?
Yeah.
What kind of private school was that?
Some expensive private.
What's that supposed to be?
I don't know.
But you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong, right, Danny? We got you, Danny.
Unbelievable.
Hey, public schooling is where it's at. Broncos and Ravens. Oof. The total in this game is just 38.5 because both of these offenses are having a really tough time.
Yeah, but we know Baltimore can eventually get it together and score some points. We've seen that even though they've struggled of late. It's Denver, the one that's becoming dangerously close now to Nathaniel Hackett being in that territory of doesn't even make it to the end of the season at this point. He's already been stripped of his play calling duties. I mean, the clock management was an issue early in the season, had to hire someone else for that. And now you're getting calls for, like, what do you do with Russell Wilson if this thing doesn't turn around? You give someone else a shot. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that should happen. This is one where I think the number's too big. I'm going to go ahead and take the 8 points in Denver. At some point, they're going to show up better than they have this year. I don't know that this is the game they're going to do it, but I think 8's a big number at this one. So I'm going to take the 8 points. Don't feel good about it. And by the way, I'm taking the under. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game in this between these two teams.
The first thing that should happen on Sunday at the stadium is Lamar Jackson should walk out on the field and look across and look at Russell Wilson and say, when you stop running, that's what happens to you? If you can't move like you used to, I better move. I better learn how to play from the pocket and throw the football. He's been awful the last couple weeks from the pocket. He missed a lot of open guys against Jacksonville last week. I don't know what's wrong with him. I think, he has a hip injury. It looks like it's impacting him a little bit in the way he throws the football, Brady. But I'm still going to take him. I'm not taking Denver's offense. That thing is garbage. It's terrible. Russell Wilson's been exposed a little bit in this offense. His teammates are getting on him. Again, when you're winning, everything's great.
That's right.
When you're not winning, all your flaws start coming to the forefront. And I think you're seeing teammates start going after him Whereas in Seattle, they were winning, so they didn't like him a lot, and they didn't go after him like that.
Well, I think the difference, too, is in Seattle, they played to his strengths as a quarterback. It was the boots. It was the deep play action. It wasn't as much trying to play from the pocket.
And he can move.
And he could move. I think he still can move to a degree. I just don't think he doesn't want to. I think he looks at it and says, I can play longer in this league if I play from the pocket. As we know, they give all the protection to the quarterback in the pocket. If you sneeze on a quarterback the wrong way, you get called for roughing the passer. So I think when he got to Denver, that was one of his initiatives, of saying, I want to play until I'm 40 or into my 40s. If I play from the pocket, I'll be able to do that. I don't want to take as many hits as I did in Seattle, running around, scrambling, creating. And I think that's one of the biggest differences right now where he has really struggled because the reality is he's never consistently played that well from the pocket.
He's ordinary in the pocket. He's ordinary in the pocket. Lamar Jackson's ordinary in the pocket. Look, his numbers might dispel that notion in terms of those read options from the pocket, throwing the quick throws and everything. But let's be real. He's got to learn to play better from the pocket as well because eventually you don't get faster as you get older.
Slower.
And I think that's going to be a problem for all the guys who like to run around all the time. Josh Allen, same thing. You got to be better.
The reality is your thinking is what should be faster. Your anticipation should be faster. Right
so you don't have to run.
Well, I think that's the biggest issue is you're not seeing either of those two things play out with him in the passing game.
All right, one more game on CBS in the early window, 1 o'clock Eastern time. The Steelers coming off the Monday night win. The Falcons 5-7, but still in it. They're only a half game behind the Bucs, who lost again last week.
Well, and look, Atlanta lost last week and kind of doesn't give you really much hope right now, at least in my opinion, of where this team is going. They play teams tight, give Arthur Smith his group a lot of credit, but this to me is more about the Steelers and really what Mike Tomlin has with them building. Kenny Pickett, the George Pickens. Pickett arguably his best game this past week as far as efficiency. Thought he did a really good job taking care of the football on Monday night. I'm rolling with the Steelers. I'm going to go ahead and take the 1.5 here on the road. I think they're finding something. And even though I'm not a fan of Matt Canada and the play calling, Kenny Pickett's ability to extend plays is what makes it different. And even though the offensive line isn't quite there either, I think the Steelers will be able to put up enough production and points in this one. I'm going to go ahead and take the 1.5.
I'm a big Kenny Pickett guy. I think he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback. He threw for 170 yards the Atlanta.
And by the way, 133 of that was in the first half.
But he threw for 170 yards, and we're crowning him as, Ben Roethlisberger throwing for 450. I mean, he threw for 170 yards, Brady. Let's slow the roll on the Steelers a little bit.
First off, they played against a good defense on the road. He's a rookie quarterback. Give him his props.
The quarterback defender has shown up again. I'm surprised.
Just saying, give him some credit. Until they switch their play caller out, it's going to be an uphill battle every week in Pittsburgh.
Okay, but what are they doing this week? They're playing back-to-back roadies, and they're on a short week. I'm taking the Falcons. It's hard to prepare for the Falcons on a short week the way they play football. I think the Falcons will find a way to win this game. Okay. I do like Kenny Pickett, though. I just think we got to slow the roll a little bit.
Okay.
Pete. Defender. The
back-to-back roadies.
He only pulls it out when it plays to his benefit.
Recapping the picks in the early CBS window for the fellers. They both like the Browns, -7. Look out. Look out. Only 3 games out of the last playoff spot. Vikings -3.
You guys laugh. Keep laughing. Come on, Brownies.
The Steelers are also 3 games out.
There you go.
Right there with the Browns.
Everybody's 3 games out.
Yeah, if you're not within 3 games of a playoff spot, you suck. Early slate over on Fox. Titans, Eagles. Our own Amanda Guerra will be there in attendance.
Oh.
Getting saucy. Commanders
and
Giants.
Don't wear any Titan stuff.
Why would she wear Titans stuff?
I don't know, because the Eagles fans are.
She is going with a Titans fan who lives in Nashville.
Eagles fans can be brutal, by the way. I love them, but they're brutal.
Bears, Packers, and Lions, Jags. Let's start with the Titans and the Eagles. Pete, A.J. Brown facing his former team. Revenge game?
I don't believe in that stuff, but Jamie Eisenberg and everybody else does. I don't. Will Brinson does.
Is that his start of the week? Jamie's start of the week, no. A.J. Brown?
He needs a good start of the week. He's been 0 for the last couple weeks, so. Oh, yeah. This game is going to be a classic Mike Vrabel game for me.
Okay.
Because I think whenever you don't think the Titans are playing good football, Mike Vrabel gets them to play good football. They weren't blown out last week, but they couldn't run the ball. And when they can't run the ball, they're not a good team. But you know what's a cure-all for that? The Philadelphia Eagles run defense. Everybody runs on the Eagles.
I don't know about that.
Everybody runs on the Eagles. And Derrick Henry will go for about $160 in this game and keep his team in the game. I'll take the Titans plus the points.
5.5 points, not that big of a number for an Eagles team that is really difficult to prepare for. I think when you look at Jalen Hurts' ability to run the zone read scheme, formationally, even the way they stress your defense before the snap of the football, this is one where I think the Titans' defense is going to have some holes in it trying to defend that. And on the flip side, look, give Ndamukong Suh, give Linval Joseph, give the older cats they've brought in to help stop the run some time. I'm a little concerned more when I look at the tape watching Tennessee is if Derrick Henry, from all the work he's had over the years, if it's starting to catch up. You're at that halfway, back end.
He only had one bad game. And
it's not so much that it's one bad game. It's just that it wears on you after a while. And he's having to carry this team once again. They don't have much of a passing game. And I think it's got to be tough to be in his shoes, being the best, in my opinion, back in the league, having to constantly carry your team. So this is one where I think it's too tough on the road. I'm going to go ahead and take the 5.5 points of Philly.
The Eagles are the perfect cure for wear and tear on a running back because they always have holes that big you can run right through.
Well, again, they got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh.
They had him the other day, and the Packers ran the ball.
The Packers ran a little bit, obviously not enough to win the game.
No.
It's like you're talking about a 1-10 team, not a 10-1 team.
And by the way, it wasn't like
I think teams
it wasn't
that
like
have,
Cincinnati was a bunch of world beaters last week either. Stopped the run before that.
Teams that can't stop the run have major flaws, and the Eagles, that's a major flaw. They better fix it. And I think they can when they get Davis back. And you're right, when Sue and Joseph start playing a little bit more and get more conditioned to playing football again, they'll be better. But they've had run game issues all year long. It's been a problem. It's going to show up this week. Henry will keep his team in the game.
How many catches does Brown have? Is what I want to know.
He was sick last week, so he didn't do much. 6.
That's it?
For 95 and a touch.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to another game between teams that right now are in the postseason. It's a couple of NFC East teams. Every team now in the NFC East would be in the playoffs if it ended today. Commanders have won 6 of 7. They're at the Giants. Who do you believe in more right now?
Probably the Commanders, at least the way they've been playing so far. But divisional matchup, home underdog here in the Giants. I think at times we've kind of underestimated this team. And look, I know they're banged up. I think the Wan'Dale Robinson injury hurt probably more than anyone wants to admit inside the Giants building. But that defense is coming around. You kind of touched on it. You're a big fan of Kayvon Thibodeau and the way he played on Thanksgiving. I do think that's been the most consistent side of the ball for them. This is one where I feel like the Commanders have been on a great run. Maybe things calm down here. The Giants get a home win. They're a good football team. I'll take the 2.5 points and the home underdog.
I'm on the other side. I like what I've seen from the Washington defense. It's gotten much better on both sides of the ball. Both lines have gotten much better, but they've run the ball for 144 yards per game in this little span of wins. And I think they're good enough on defense to handle what the Giants will throw at them. I think Washington's going to be a playoff team. I really do. They're physical, they're tough, they're going to make it dirty every week. They're tough, they're nasty, they make it ugly and dirty every week, and they'll do that in this game as well.
You can see Taylor Heineke against the spread. He's been great. One of the things, though, he's got to cut down the turnovers.
Yeah.
Every week. Every week he's a turnover. At some point, that's going to come back to get him.
One other thing about this game. Somebody needs to tell Brian Daboll, it's okay to punt in this league. It really is. It's okay to punt in this league. That game was, 14-13 when he didn't punt? Next thing you know, his team was blown out of the building. Punt the ball.
Nothing about Brian Robinson's hat?
Oh, the big hat thing.
That's the stupidest thing. Who cares about the big hats? Somebody told me they're $80 too for a hat.
I believe it.
I mean,
is there storage? I have so many questions. Like who came
I don't know
up
how
with
it
the
stays
idea?
on your head.
Well, clearly it's like fitted. Like it's not like all just opens.
Molded to your head?
It has to.
It's like a head mold?
Wouldn't you think there's like compartments to store stuff in
that would look like a normal hat on your head.
Yeah, maybe.
On my head, it would go over my face.
Well, you probably need like those little, remember the ones you go to the baseball games, you
yeah.
just eat ice cream in?
Yeah, that's what
that's your hat.
Yours,
your hat.
They put the big hat on you, and Brady's got a regular hat on.
Yeah, I don't have any desire to buy that. It might fit my head naturally.
Why would anybody? I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
He said he was doing a solid for his buddy.
I mean, it's funny as a joke or something, but walking around with
it's a Seinfeld episode. It's the puffy shirt episode from Seinfeld, but with big hats.
It is. You're right. All right. Let's move on to the Packers and the Bears. No playoff implications here, but Aaron Rodgers says he's going to play with that rib injury.
Yeah, look, Christian Watson's come along. He's now a legitimate threat every time he touches the football to score. The secondary for Chicago's banged up. They can't rush the passer. Couldn't stop the run before the injuries occurred. So this is one where I think Rodgers said it last year. He owns the Bears. I'll lay the 3 points here until I see otherwise.
And that's why he wants to play this week.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to play
But as a
the Bears.
Packer fan, wouldn't you rather see Jordan Love finish the season?
No.
You're out of it.
But why wouldn't you want Rodgers to play? And why would you
you're not
take
playing
him off the field if he wants to play? If he's healthy enough to play, he plays, period. They paid him. He's their quarterback. And by the way, he made a couple throws in that game that looked like Aaron Rodgers last week. So, of course he plays if he wants to play. Now, if they're eliminated down the road completely in the May, because nobody is in this league.
Come on, they're done.
No, the Browns are alive. Everybody's alive.
They have 8 losses.
Mathematically eliminated is what I'm saying. Then if he doesn't want to play, then you take him out and you play Love. Yeah, you want to see Love, but as long as he wants to play, he plays.
We all need a little love.
Packers blow them out.
Is this going to be a changing of the guard?
No.
Aaron Rodgers, old, done for. Justin Fields, great, young, dynamic quarterback. It's turning right here, fellas.
I mean, this is spoken like a true
There's a Bears fan. Yeah, right?
I am concerned, though, about Fields' ability if he plays in this game. Otherwise, then you have to worry about either Trevor Siemian or Nathan Peterman, depending on who gets injured in warm-ups. But I digress. If Fields does
Did you
play
ever
this
get hurt
game,
in warm-ups?
No. And by the way, I would never tell anyone if I did get hurt in warm-ups because they probably would have cut me right after. Fields running the football in this one. He's been a legitimate threat all year if he's healthy, if he plays. Clearly, the Packers have a hard time stopping the run, giving up how much they gave up to Philly last week, and Hurts in particular.
What was it, 350?
It was a ridiculous amount, 100 and some whatever for Hurts. That could be a big problem for the Packers where the Bears hang around in this one.
It's really been a perfect season for the Bears because Justin Fields is showing he's the quarterback of the future, and they keep losing and rising up the draft board.
That sounds like a perfect season.
They might end up with the number 2 pick.
Happy.
It's weird how that sounds like a perfect season.
Except Mooney got hurt.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, but that might help them in the draft standings ahead. Let's move on to the Jags and the Lions. And was that a sea change moment last week in Jacksonville, Pete, with Trevor Lawrence leading that comeback?
He's been really good in November. I mean, he's had a great November. He's the #1 completion percentage in the league in November. But that was a great moment for him. That's
Pump the brakes. He only threw for 173 yards.
in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter.
Hard time. Wow.
In the fourth quarter. He was outstanding last week. I mean, those are the moments where a quarterback looks around and he says, I belong here, I'm going to be a star. And he's going to be a star. A month ago, there were people who were actually using the bus word next to his name. I think you did once, Brady.
Oh, first off, that's the most overused term ever.
But no, he's not a bust. He's going to be far from it. He's going to be a star quarterback. That's the moment. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I really like the over in this game. I think it's going to go up and down. Both teams will score. Jacksonville can't rush the passer at all. They have a lot of draft capital invested in that, and they can't get to the quarterback. But Lawrence is going to put up big numbers against the Lions as well. I think this goes over, but I'll take Jacksonville.
I've got Jacksonville as well. Same side here. You're only getting a point, so really you're picking to probably win the game when it's all said and done. I've just been impressed with his development. I think the job Doug Peterson's done with him, obviously he kind of had that, I guess, niche of working with younger quarterbacks, developing younger quarterbacks during his time, whether in Philly, even back during his time in Kansas City. You're starting to see that really pay off now. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is seeing the field better. He's throwing the ball with more confidence. You can see that with the way he's anticipating some of those throws. And then just down the stretch, game-winning drives like that, they do so much for your confidence as a young player in the league as far as how you take off from there. So this is just the beginning for Trevor Lawrence. I'm really excited for him. He's showcasing why he was drafted #1 overall and what he's capable of. I've got the under in this one. I don't know. Something has the feel to me. It should be a higher scoring game. I saw the over-under 51.5, and I was like, this should be more like 56, 57. That kind of bothered me. So I was thinking, all right, maybe I'm seeing something.
By the way, Trevor Lawrence, for what he's doing right now after overcoming the guy who coached him last year, is absolutely incredible. Why are you shaking your head?
I love how Pete can't even get the sentence or just busting up.
Because I knew he would shake his head. And by the way, you talk about teams that can make a run. Can they make the playoffs? Stop. I mean, Cleveland.
Mathematically still in it.
And they play the Titans twice.
I'm just saying that they're not
they're
out yet.
They're done.
By the way, their former coach in Jacksonville owns real estate. Actually, it's not St. Pete's Beach. It's in Pete's Head.
That's very true.
This is funny. They're funny.
Urban development in Pete.
Whoa!
Whoa!
God, you're quick.
All right, recapping the picks here from Pete and Brady. Early slate on Fox. Where's the agreement? Where's the agreement? It's on Packers -3, and it's on Jags +1.
It'll be a good Sunday.
There you go. Late afternoon matchups. A couple of them are saucy. Dolphins, Niners, Chiefs, Bengals. Seahawks need that one in LA against the Rams. They've dropped out of playoff position. The Chargers right now would be out of the playoffs as well at 6-5. They've got a resurgent Raiders team that's won back-to-back games in overtime. Let's start with a 4:05 matchup between the Dolphins and Niners. Brady and Pete here. This is Mike McDaniel facing his former team.
And this will be a big battle of X's and O's back and forth, given the familiarity that both coaching staffs have with one another. So it's one of those ones that this is a game I love to watch, not only just for the talent of both teams, but how they go about making adjustments from the first quarter all the way through the fourth quarter, because you know that those scripted plays they start off with, all that's going to be thrown out the window by the time you get to the second half. So that's something to keep an eye on this one. The 49ers are probably the hottest team in the NFL right now, maybe outside of Philly in the way they've been playing. The addition of Christian McCaffrey has been huge. They won't have Elijah Mitchell for this one. But where the game's tilted is the fact that if Teron Armstead doesn't play in this one, I don't think he's going to, at left tackle for the Dolphins, get ready for the San Francisco 49ers to feast on Tua. That offensive line is just not the same without Armstead. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3.5 points here in the home favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the points too. And when you look at a game like this, you go, okay, let's rate the units. What's the weakest unit in the game? And the weakest unit in the game is by far the Miami Dolphins defense. I think the 49ers on offense will have success against that defense, where we don't know if the Miami offense will have success against the 49ers defense. So I do think that leans me to the 49ers at laying the points. Here's the thing about Tua in the next 3 weeks. At the 49ers, at the Chargers, at Buffalo. If he plays really well in all 3 of those games and wins all 3 of those games,
say it.
He might be the leader for the MVP.
Wow. Hey, can we do something for this matchup though? You got the quarterback scales?
I'm not going against the Paisan.
What? Too much Paisan passion?
Too much Paisan passion?
Tua's playing better right now.
Wow. Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo is playing good football. Didn't play well last week against the Saints, though. Did not. But he's played.
This is the Trey Lance Bowl.
Defense.
These are the teams that hooked up in the Trey Lance trade.
Yeah, and he's not playing at all. And nor
a lot
are the
of trades
49ers upset
There's
about
a lot
it.
of players that swap teams.
Hey, I don't think the 49ers are upset about it either that he's not playing.
I didn't hear either one of you say it. I haven't heard anybody say it. But potential Super Bowl previews?
I don't think Miami's defense is good.
I think the 49ers could be there.
Yeah, I do too.
The way they run the football and the way
I
they play
agree.
defense.
Absolutely, they could be there. And Jimmy Garoppolo has shown he can get there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a must-win for the Seattle Seahawks, who have fallen to 6-5, fallen out of first place in that division, and fallen out of the wild card as well. They are at the reeling 3-8 Rams.
Yeah, and you're not going to have Matt Stafford for this one. You're not going to have Aaron Donald for this one either. This is one where I look at it and go, it's a big number. I'm willing to lay the points here with Seattle. I think they're offensively going to put up enough points to cover what is just kind of a dismal offense. I mean, even Sean McVay is taking shots from his own players who are running out on the field during the game. So, unfortunately, it's just been that sort of year for the Rams. And I'll pose this to you. You've followed the league for forever and worked in the league forever. Have you ever seen a Super Bowl winning team fall off the next season the way the Rams have?
Well, when Elway retired.
Well, but it's different, though.
Right.
Because they didn't come back.
There was like
the following season with that group.
when they reloaded like this.
But they haven't had this
remember.
group together really that much either, when you think about it.
You have the same quarterback. You have Aaron Donald.
How many games he's missed
the
time?
same head coach. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Has anyone fallen off after winning?
No, but I don't ever remember anybody selling their soul to get the Super Bowl either.
Okay.
Your depth goes away when you do that, and that's what's happening.
I understand why they're at.
Back in the day, you used to be able to keep your team together. Remember, that was a whole other issue. So, yeah, this is rare. They're bad. They're terrible. But I'm going to take the points at home because I think Seattle's defense is awful. You saw what the Raiders did to him. Jacobs is still running. I mean, it was terrible last week. I think they'll find a way to keep this under the number. Believe me, the Rams are done. And if I was Matt Stafford, I wouldn't play again the rest of the year. I'd watch myself because of the concussions, but because there's no reason to play. Get ready, get healthy, move on to the next season. But I think they hang around in this game.
Okay.
Let's move on to the CBS games in the late window, highlighted by the Chiefs and Bengals, a rematch of that AFC Championship game. And remember, they played in the regular season last year. The Bengals swept them.
I was going to say Joe Burrow's dominated Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is one, though, where I feel like the Chiefs are just playing better football. I think they're the better team at this point in time. Defensively, they're much improved from what we saw last year, where the Bengals were able to sweep them. Jamar Chase will be back for this game, and probably another big addition would be Mixon. I believe he missed last week with a concussion. So if he's back, you got both two high-powered offenses. Another line that I was surprised is at 52.5. I'd like the over on this one. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 2.5 points. I think this is where Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs start to even up that career record between Burrow and Mahomes.
I'm going to take the Bengals. Not to say they're necessarily going to win the game, but I'll take 2.5. If it went to 3, I'd really like it. But I think this is really close, and I'm with you. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, lots of points. Joe Burrow has that it factor. We know Mahomes is a star, but when you see the Bengals go on the road without Chase, without Mixon, and he finds a way to win that game the way he did, that speaks volumes because that's a tough place to win at Tennessee against that team. So
well, give their defense some credit.
Yeah, played great
that's
too.
the group that's set up to me when I'm watching them stymieing Derrick Henry in the
but they're not going to stymie the Chiefs offense. So that's why I'm with you. It's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'll take the Bengals in the points.
No quarterback has beaten Patrick Mahomes 3 straight
2 and 10.
times.
2 and 10.
You haven't won the Super Bowl this
I
year?
never said that.
Well, you
1
keep
in 10.
extending the 10. You
No,
don't
it's
have
from the
10
draft day. I
years.
got 8 more to go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
For those that don't know, when Joe Burrow was drafted, Pete said that he would win 2 Super Bowls
1.
in the next 10 years.
1.
What are we, 3 years in?
You just said 2 and 10. Now
I
you're
was
going to walk
joking
that back?
for you two because you keep putting words
You're
in my mouth.
unbelievable, Pete. Somebody mentioned that Josh Jacobs was still running. Well, he's going to be trying to run all over the LA Chargers, who are in need of a victory to stay in that playoff race. They're a game out right now.
And Justin Herbert's starting to play some better football as that offense has gotten healthier. I think you're seeing what they're capable of. This is going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion. You know, the Raiders have gotten their mojo back now, won 2 in a row. We're going to talk about Josh Jacobs. I think Derek Carr is starting to get a better feel for the passing game, too, and clearly Devonta Adams as well. I mean, those two have been going off together. So I like the over in this game, the best of anything. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 2 points here in the Chargers. Look, I think the Chargers are a playoff-caliber team. This is where Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley have to show it. They have to prove it. They got to do it on the road versus Las Vegas. So I'm laying the 2.
Your paper says Raiders.
No, that's a mistake.
Oh, flip-flopper?
Oh, flip-flop.
It's not flip-flopping.
Oh, flippity-floppy.
You can talk to our producer, Jack. I'm telling you right now.
We have a little
I'd send this-
flip-flopper. Paper says Raiders. I have the Raiders. I think they're going to look, the one thing the Chargers can't do is stop the run.
Yeah.
And they're going to run Jacobs through him, around him, everywhere. He's going to go for another about a 150 in this game. The best thing about the Raiders winning games is we don't have to see the crybaby cry after games. So, I mean, that's really the best part about it. I think.
Aren't they unbeaten since he cried?
Yeah. So maybe he had motivation. It worked. Maybe it worked. But I like the Raiders in this game. I think they win the game.
The rally cry.
Wow.
He's been quick today.
Yeah, he really has.
It's that 12 hours of sleep I got last night.
Did you get 12? I got 3.5. That's that on my thing.
3.5, my God. All right, recapping the late afternoon picks. They like the Niners minus 3.5 against the Dolphins. And because of Brady's flip-flop, that's the only agreement. That's it. Disagree on everything else. All right, here are your prime time games this weekend. And there's only one winning team playing. That's the Cowboys at 8-3. Although the Bucs do lead their division. And if the Saints can win that game, boy, do things get really fascinating in that horrible NFC South. Let's start with the Colts and Cowboys game. The Colts have allowed the most sacks this season, and the Cowboys have the most sacks this season.
Yeah, it's an awful matchup from that standpoint. I mean, the Cowboys should absolutely be able to get after Matt Ryan, who almost feels like a statue back there at times. And I feel like the luster of Jeff Saturday, the motivation, all that stuff, whatever you want to talk about, it's kind of worn off now. They lost the last 2 games. They have not been able to put together anything offensively. They looked awful Monday night versus the Steelers. This is a game, though, where the number is really big. And I'm probably going to regret this when we talk about this next week. But I'm going to take the 9.5 points. I think it's an overreaction to what we saw with the Colts versus the Steelers. And then with the additional rest and Dallas factoring in the way they won on Thanksgiving, I think it's an overreaction. So I think the Cowboys win. I don't think they cover that number.
Rest, short week, on the road, bad offensive line.
But
terrible
Jeff
offensive line.
Saturday's going to will them to this.
No, he better learn how to clock management before he
That
goes
would be
back to
nice.
his high school job.
You can't take those 3 timeouts with you, right?
No, terrible. It was terrible. The play calling was even worse, by the way. Why didn't he give the ball to Jonathan Taylor the whole game? That made no sense to me. It won't matter here. The Cowboys will blast them. I think the Cowboys are starting to get on a roll. We talk about teams that have good fronts, both sides of the ball, good defensive line, good offensive line. The Cowboys are one of them.
Yep.
And once they get Smith back at left tackle and move the other Smith, the rookie, to guard, they're going to be even better. I think this team is going to get on a run. I think they blow them out.
You know what worries
By the
me
way, I
about-
buried the Colts today. I bury a team every Tuesday. I take out
buried
the
the
shovel.
Colts?
I buried the Colts. They're
You know
done.
what worries me about Dallas, though? And I feel like you could go back through the years and look at this. There's always one game that makes you go, what happened there?
Has that happened yet this season?
It hasn't. And I think this could be like one of those games. Like, the Cowboys are the team that I think they should be up there when you look at the way Philly and San Francisco has been playing right now, because I think Dallas is playing on that level. But if you go back through the years, there's always one game they lose to a bad football team, and you go, what happened there? And that's my concern.
It happened
with
at Green
Dallas
Bay.
moving
They blew a 14-point lead in
There's
the fourth quarter.
It's one example, though. On the road, I think there's
You think
examples
there's
of that
gonna
at
be-
home.
so you think there's another one coming, huh?
Yeah, I just think that's what the Dallas Cowboys have been under Jerry Jones as their own. I don't know why, but they've always had this. They just, for whatever reason, can't get out of their own way sometimes.
Go to Jacksonville in a couple weeks.
Maybe that's the one.
No, not happening.
Monday night, Saints, Bucks. The Saints coming off their first shutout in 20 years, and not the good side of a shutout, the bad side of one. They didn't score.
Yeah, but look, defensively they played San Francisco tough. Give them a lot of credit for that. It seems like something's off between Tom Brady and Mike Evans. Obviously losing against Cleveland last week. I don't know, maybe it was the turfed field there in Cleveland that played a portion of that, helping out defensively. But this is one where I just trust Tom Brady at home to cover this number. 3.5, I hate the hook. I'm going to go ahead and lay it, though. I just don't have much faith right now in the Saints offensively doing much. I think eventually the defense breaks down and the Bucs score enough to cover the number.
I'm going with history. And recent history in this series, you talk about a shutout. Remember, the last time they played down there, they shut them out. They beat them up. This is his kryptonite.
Bucs did win week 2, though, 20-10.
This is his kryptonite, though.
Don't let the truth get in the way.
That's the most
go
recent
ahead.
history.
I get it.
Pete,
Pete,
go
but they
ahead.
didn't score a bunch of points, did they?
20 points.
Right. And it's not a lot of points.
But they won.
And I think the Saints are going to hang around. Last time they were in that place, they shut them out. They're going to get after them. I'll take the Saints in the points.
Okay. All right, but not to win, right?
Huh?
If they win, I mean, this would be crazy.
Imagine if they win and Atlanta wins.
Weird division.
Everybody's in it, just like we said.
All right, that's all the picks. We're going to get their best bets in just a second here. These are the primetime picks that the guys had, and agree on the under 40. So
yeah, I like that too.
As Pete said, even though the Bucs won by 10 in week 2, weren't many points scored, just 30 points total in that game. Time for best bets. Pete, why don't you start us off with that game our own Amanda Guerra is going to be at?
I'm taking the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry. He's going to go for about 160, 150.
Okay, that number keeps climbing. But.
Yeah, well, I mean, they get worse by the minute on run defense. They get worse by the minute in Philadelphia. I think he's going to keep them in the game. They're not going to win the game, but they're going to hang around. Give me the 5.5.
All right, I've got the over of the Chargers and Raiders. Pete talked about Josh Jacobs still running. Maybe he'll just run down from Seattle and go back all the way back home and keep running against the Chargers defense. They have struggled to stop the run, so I do think Derek Carr, Tay Adams, the way those guys have connected too, will be able to put up some points. And then the Chargers will be able to. At least they'll be aggressive in this one. So to me, that number's too low. I think you take the over there.
And you have the Chargers to win the game.
I do.
So you're going to see crybaby after the game.
You got Derek Carr crying again, huh?
I hope not.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.